Conference objectives. Apologize about the microphone. I've changed the batteries twice. It doesn't seem to be working, but if it goes out, I did try to change them. So again, try to understand the opportunity to grow youth ministry via coaches and team sports. Recognize the importance and the potential of the Director of Sports Ministry position. That's going to be the meat of what we're going to talk about right now. And then partner with Sports Leader to take advantage of our intentional and proven system by working with coaches inside of team sports. So one thing that I did want to encourage is that I think after you come to a conference like this, it's easy that you can get overwhelmed. You've got 80 things running through your head, 150 ideas, 20 pages of notes, and you get back home and think, well, now what do I do? And like, well, we've been doing this for 12 years. We know what to do. We've got a blueprint. We've got some in the back. It's not for nighttime reading, but it's a manual that'll kind of lead you through how to do certain things. We're going to talk more about the program, but don't feel like you have to go home and reinvent the wheel, because we have a program that you can use and integrate. So let's dream for a moment. Let's say that Bishop Paprocki, Archbishop of Hockeyville, USA, named you the Director of Sports Ministry of said archdiocese. This doesn't exist. This is hypothetical, but let's dream for a minute. So what if this is a large archdiocese? This is just high schools. You have 20 high schools, 20 Catholic high schools in your archdiocese. If you average 15 varsity teams per school, that's an average. Some schools will have 20. Some schools have 25. Some schools will have much less, but let's average 15. You're going to look at approximately 300 teams, 300 head coaches. If you average 2 assistant coaches per team, again, 2 is football, you might have 25 assistant coaches. Girls golf, you might have 1. You might not have any. You might be, please, can I have an assistant coach? There's a little of everything. But let's average 2. You got 600 assistant coaches. Again, you average 25 kids per team. Again, this is just varsity. Again, football, you might have 100. Boys tennis, you might have 5. So we average 2 parents per athlete, 15,000. So this is approximately 23,400 people, just varsity sports in your archdiocese. If you include freshmen and the JV teams, you have 70,200 people. Just high schools, just your archdiocese. That is a lot of impact. So, if you look at that, in most archdioceses across the country, we did studies. We compared 2, looked at this, and most archdioceses don't have a single person, a single employee dedicated to this. And that cannot continue. Can't continue because look at that bottom number. You have 70,200 people on a silver platter involved in your school sports, probably daily, not just involved, passionately involved. I mean, they're really, really involved. So you have this huge, huge opportunity. So if you go back up to the top, so you're that one person, you're the Director of Sports Ministry. Now you have this huge opportunity to impact. Let's say you're a smaller diocese. So you've got 4 high schools. You go through the same type of thing. That might be more similar to your present situation. You might not live in an archdiocese. You might live in a smaller diocese with 4 Catholic high schools. Again, this is just high school. Still, it's over 14,000 souls. 14,000 people that are very, very dedicated, very passionately involved in sports. So it's absolutely, absolutely worthwhile to have this position. So it's good that we're thinking about it. So again, if we want to reach those 70,000, we must work more directly, more intentionally through the coaches. So if you go back to that number at the top, we go back to that archdiocese. That didn't go as planned. So if you start there, you look at those 300 head coaches. You think about those 300 head coaches, those are apostles. Those are youth ministers. So sometimes I've had conversations, oh, well, sports gets in the way of youth ministry because I can't do anything with the athletes on there. It's like, well, why don't we look at it is that, well, in the archdiocese, you don't have, 90 youth ministry groups or 90 parish youth ministry groups, excuse me, in your diocese. You have 300 of them. And the 300, if you get down to the bottom, it's a pool of 70,200 people. We just have to, a little bit more creatively, a little more intentionally work towards that. So it's really, really important. And so the more ministry can be done on the team level, the more you can actually get out of it. So I'm going to share lots of different stories between my two talks. That there's some coaches that and there's a few of them that are here I'm going to talk about. I mean, they're so inspiring. I mean, they do more. Their players get more ministry, more Catholic faith during their season with their guys or their girls than the kids who participate in youth ministry. Most youth ministry groups meet once a week. And that's wonderful. By no means, if anyone here works in youth ministry, by no means am I denigrating anything that you do. I'd be denigrating myself. I have a youth ministry group. It's a small group with 20, 30, 40 kids that shows up every Thursday evening. So I'm in the same boat. I'm talking to myself too. But that's once a week. During most of your seasons, it's probably 6 days a week. Maybe 7, etc. So huge, huge opportunity. So if we keep thinking about that, so what if? Keep dreaming. So how are we going to do that? Now the danger, the big mistake, is to try to do the ministry yourself. Whether you're at your school or whether you're at your diocese. What? My coaches aren't apostles. They're heathen pagans, and I'd like to get rid of all of them. May they all die now. Whatever. Let's start over. Let's start from the beginning. Can you reach 70,200 people? Good luck. That's really, really hard. Or another thing, I've heard this quite a bit. We have a guy that does that for our teams. He works with all of the different teams. Mistake. One guy can't reach everybody in all these different teams. You run out of time really fast. Ask one of the priests. Right. You just think about hearing confessions. Yeah, I have 5,000 families, 8,000 people. You think about hearing confessions, 8,000 people. How many do you have to hear a day? Do the math. That's a lot of confessions. If you want to hear one once. So the person we want doing that, it's the coaches. So the more we can form them, the more you can pour in, the more ministry gets done, the more the kids benefit. The more you form and train and inspire those coaches, again, more and more gets done. So what is a sports leader? So DSM, that's Director of Sports Ministry, that's short. Catholics, we're awesome at that. We shorten everything. So DSM. What does that person do at the diocesan level? So there's a lot of things. We have a job description already. There's 26 points on the job description. I figured you might stone me if I put all 26, so let's start with 3. Let's start with just the first 3 to not overwhelm. But the first step, okay, help each individual school find and name a director of sports ministry at that school. So you go back to those numbers. So you've got 20 high schools in your Archdiocese of Hockeyville. The first step you're going to do is help each one of those schools name a person. Okay, that's huge. See, that's doable. Okay, you're one person. You want to reach the 70,200. That's a large number. That doesn't fit in Paul Brown Stadium here in Cincinnati where the Bengals play. But helping each school find a person, that's doable. There's 20. 20 is a manageable number. Provide formation and training support for all of those 20 that are there. And then you help the director install the 4-pillar system that we're going to keep talking about. So there's lots of ministry that can happen, and if you follow through that, all those steps, it starts going down, down, down. You start reaching all of those different people. So the qualities of a director of sports ministry. What would that person look like? Having an athletic background would be preferred. So if your person is a coach, or a former coach, former athlete, that is obviously that would be a great thing. But these other things are just as important. Humble, outstanding communication skills, passionate about sports and ministry, a love for their Catholic faith, and maybe, possibly, most important, wants to embrace this mission. So the person, if you're going to be effective at this, is that the person has to want to do it. So if you're thinking about interviewing the 20 people, the 20 different schools, and whatever, Joe Schmo walks in and you're talking to Joe, and Joe is just like, oh my goodness, give me a break, another hat, are you kidding me? Really? And they're just, it's like they're losing a lung. Yeah, end the interview. Yeah, move on. I don't care if the guy won the Heisman Trophy 4 times, 3 Super Bowls. Doesn't want to do it. Person who wants to embrace. So you have that person, okay, they've got those things, but they want to do it, they're excited. I'd love to help my diocese do that. Will you find the perfect candidate all the time? Well, probably not. I don't think Jesus did either. His 12 first apostles weren't, I don't think any of them had the Heisman Trophy or things like that. They were fishermen, tax collectors. One betrayed him. So, but those things, being humble. See, I heard something recently where maybe this is an example of how this can help. So there's a principal of a school saw a coach do one of our events that we'll talk about, the Stations of the Cross workout. That coach did the workout, promoted it, got testimonies, and off the charts. Everybody loved it. It was swinging around the school. There was a great momentum. Principal kind of made a mistake. Principal basically said, okay, well, look at Coach. Look at what Coach did. All of you other coaches should do and be like Coach. Now, the mistake there is that, okay, now, coaches, okay, we're competitive. You say that, it's really, really easy that you're going to get 2 reactions. Very easy. Number 1, okay, I'm not Coach so-and-so. I don't do what Coach so-and-so does. Or, I'm going to be better than Coach. I'm going to beat him. And then they're starting off on not a great platform. So that's kind of where you're pitting one coach against another. And unfortunately, that happens a lot. Because you're competing for all sorts of different things at the school level. But if you have somebody in between, a director of sports ministry, who isn't that coach, and that person is there helping everyone, and is, well, talk to Steve over here, and Steve will help you be able to do it with your team too. Many coaches, that's going to sound a whole lot better. That sounds better than, so the competitive juices don't start kicking in right away. Well, I ain't being like Coach, or I'm going to beat him, or beat her. type of thing. So that's a good thing. So it's kind of a person in between to help encourage, help inspire. So being humble and the communication skills, a lot of times, okay, this takes time. This isn't going to happen overnight. And you have some coaches that are going to listen and they're open to what you're bringing to the table, and others are not. You can't fire them right away or whatever. Send them to hell, call down fire and brimstone, etc., etc. Okay, that's good luck with that too. But there's different ways. So having that humility to, okay, well, I tried that approach, really didn't work with that particular coach. I'm not going to ask for the pink slip and get the guy fired. But, well, let's try another approach. So it takes time. And one coach might be open to starting something right away. Another coach would be open. So, but being passionate about it and just being honest, building relationships. You think about Jesus. Jesus was the pro at this. Jesus formed 12 apostles. I mean, think of this. The Son of God came to earth, basically devoted 3 years to do what? Hang out with 12 dudes. Basically what he did. Did a lot of preaching, but he spent a lot of time pouring into those 12 men. 12 coaches, if you will. And then he sent them out. Did an awful lot of preaching and teaching with thousands of other people as well. But he was very intentional about forming his apostles. And then he sent them out. So this is kind of the same thing too. So it's very, very Christ-like what we're trying to do here. We have a group of people, coaches, that in our time in history, here in this country, it's really, really devoted to sports. There's an awful lot of people involved in it. And again, passionately involved, which is really cool. So we have this tremendous platform. Add that to that, on top of it, our Catholic schools, I mean, you know this. You're awesome. Your schools are really awesome. And you have thousands of people wanting to come to your school because you have wonderful facilities and you've fought for all of those things. All of that is great. And your teams are really good. We were at Sacred Heart. There's some people here from Sacred Heart the other day. They've won 80 state championships or something in the state of Kentucky. Well, God bless them. Awesome. They're an awesome school. They're great at sports. That's wonderful. And that's wonderful for their city. So people want to go to that school. They want their daughters to win. It's a great thing. It's not a bad thing. Use that. We want to win, but we want to bring them to eternal life. We want them to reach the pearly gates. So we have this tremendous platform. Okay, well, what's the most effective way? What's the most effective way to use that platform better and reach those 70,000? In our opinion, this is a great way to try, a great way to start. If we can develop this. You also have the chaplain. In many instances, a priest. And so every school, every situation is different. There aren't two alike. I've been doing this for 12 years. I've yet to find there are two alike. Everybody's very, very different. So you might have in the beginning, the director of sports ministry might be part chaplain, part teacher. You might wear 7 hats, etc. Also, a little commercial, a pause as you're thinking about this, whether it be at the diocesan level or whether you be at your individual school level. You may not have the budget or the opportunity to name someone full-time to that. Completely understand. Again, we're planting seeds, we're creating thoughts, but maybe in 2 or 3 years you can. Maybe as you start this, and you start as small or as big as you have the ability to, and you see so much fruit that by August you want to do more. And someone comes forward, and God, the Holy Spirit moves, and donations come, whenever people step up, and things start flowing. So we start somewhere, so we don't have the budget. This guy's insane. He hasn't seen our school. We can't hire a new person. We're firing 3. Well, okay, I understand your situation might be really difficult, but let's start somewhere. And You might have a person that already wears 4 hats, and it might be the chaplain, it might be the priest, but he's passionate about it and he'd like to try. Does he have 24 hours a day to devote to it? No. He might have 37 seconds or whatever because they're really, really busy. But let's say that you have 2 people. Let's say you have a chaplain, have a priest that does work at your school, and you can also have a layperson. Well, if you can, again, in that situation, have the priest and the chaplain really, really have your preferred focus on sacraments, prayer, and spiritual direction. I mean, those things alone right there, I mean, it kind of comes off the tongue really easy. That's a ton of work and a ton of time. But it's really, really fruitful. So for example, I love this example of the bishop mentioned it about the confessions. Sometimes we call it battlefield confessions, so there was a story. There was a coach. He was a football coach, and he was mentioning that he's never seen his boys get in the box at church or whatever. There aren't many people coming. So I was, well, let's do something about it. You share a parking lot with St. Joseph's Parish. Why don't you ask the parish priest to come to football practice and hear confessions at practice? Lou, you're insane. I know. I'm well aware of that. So let's try. Let's see what he says. So he asks him, and the priest tells him, Coach, you're insane. So, yeah, that's what I told Lou. But he came. All right, so how are we going to do this? So we laid this out. Let's try this. Well, Coach, you announce it to the team. Tell the team you're going to go first. Prep the captains. Ask the captains, okay, if you'd like to. I mean, you can't force anyone to go to confession, but you ask them. If you'd like to go after me. So Father came down. Father's red. He's shaking. He's like, I've done anything like this before. This is weird. And I said, well, let's give it a try. So Coach gets up and he goes, all right, we're gonna do this today. We're gonna have Father's confession. I'm gonna go first. If you want to go, you check in with your position coach. You take off your helmet. You go over to Father. You walk around the track. You go to confession. You do your penance. You come back in. Okay. Coach went. The 4 captains went. The whole team went. At the end of the day, they even had some fun with it. Most of the time it was 1 lap, and then you do their penance. I think Johnson had 2 laps in it. What's going on, Johnson? So they had some fun with it. At the end of the day, priest comes over to Coach. I mean, he's just in full force tears. Coach, I want to thank you. I didn't believe in this. I called you insane. I thought poorly of you. This was beautiful. I want to let you know, I've heard more confessions on your football field this afternoon, more confessions of high school-aged young men than I have in the past 2 years combined. He said, Father, we're going to invite you back every month. So he started a tradition, once a month. That best is still coming. So there's a freshman on the football team, extraordinarily good athlete. So he's also on the varsity basketball team. About 2 weeks into basketball practice. Coach, when's Father coming to hear confessions at basketball practice? What? What's wrong with you? This is serious. We're a good basketball team. Well, beautiful line here. You did it at football. I figured that was the way things were done here. See, that is culture. For the freshman, he didn't know any different. For the freshman, his first experience of school, since the beauty of fall sports, you get them before school starts. Sometimes 2, 3, 4 weeks. You build the culture with the freshmen before they set foot in the doors. It's beautiful. So for that kid, he expected confession at practice. He's 15 years old. That's awesome. Now, I need to get to that basketball coach and work with him. But this also goes towards the director of sports ministry. So as a sports leader, we've been around for 12 years. What we've been doing at the beginning is we've been trying, I'll go to your school and I'll work with your coaches. Well, that doesn't, one guy, it's awfully hard getting 300 head coaches. That don't really work very well. So the one guy that can't do it, I made the mistake myself. But if you can have that person at that school, then that school is, we're bringing this to the football team and to the girls' volleyball team and the cross-country team. it gets around a whole lot faster. By now, we have numerous teams that they have fathers. We have priests coming every week. So I know another team every Friday afternoon before their games. They have their team mass, and at first they had a second priest coming to hear confessions. Now they have 4, because one day one of the assistant coaches, a known heathen to the team, everyone knew that coach was. They even said that it was kind of a rough character. But one day he went to confession, and he comes back to the coach's locker room, and he's literally glowing. And the whole team saw him. What's up with Coach Thompson? Coach Thompson is glowing. So they're jabbing him, they're giving him smack and the whole thing. So that was Wednesday. Friday morning, coach is in his office, and the quarterback comes. Coach, you're gonna need reinforcements this afternoon. Reinforcements? What are you talking about? The whole team is coming to confession. The whole team? 90? Yeah. Well, how do you know? Everybody saw Coach Thompson. He was glowing on Wednesday. So now all of a sudden he has this beautiful, Friday afternoon. So now it's 7 o'clock Friday morning. I've got 90 guys going to confession after school. So he called down to the chancery, and they had 6 priests there. And they all went. Awesome. And it started with the insane coach inviting, etc. So there's an opportunity. Helping the DSM and the coaches how to pray. See, this is an important point. Most coaches, we coach the way we were coached. You tend to go back to that. You go back to what you know. So a lot of coaches, maybe they didn't experience that with their team. They didn't have the 4 pillars. They didn't have virtue and mentoring and ceremony, Catholic identity. I mean, they were lucky if their coach didn't scream at them that day. So that's what their experience of coaching is. So it's very easy to just go to that. So introducing this to them, it takes some time of praying with them. So going and showing them an example and then stepping back. You do it a few times. Hey, coach, why don't you try it next time? So you're constantly trying to give an example, show a little bit, and then try to step back. Okay, coach, now you try to do it. Maybe it doesn't work. Maybe you got to go back. But you're constantly trying to get that coach to do that. So team masses, sacrament, team retreats. So just right there. So even if you're blessed, that you're separate, this can blossom into a whole ton of work really, really quick. Because again, you go back to 15 varsity sports. If you want to do this with freshmen and JV2, boom, we're at 45 teams, 1 priest. Team retreats, just there, 45 team retreats. Boom, there's like half your life. All of the free time that Father Chase had 5 minutes ago, it is no longer there. Because now it's this. But how often is that? Because again, percentage, there was a priest here, he wasn't really feeling well, he had to go back. I think he asked a question. He's from the Diocese of Rockford, Illinois. It's a co-ed Catholic high school in Rockford. They have 955 students in their school. They did a survey. 93% play at least one sport. 93%. There is nothing else possible to get 93% outside of class attendance. So doing team retreats with those 15 teams at his school, he's getting 880 kids, boom, just like that. Awesome opportunity. Support and encouragement. So I'll give an example. There was a priest who, I don't know this priest too well. I've met him once in my life. And he was trying to come to the conference. He couldn't. And he sent me an email last night. Lou, I have your back. I'm praying for our Lord and Lady's protection over you in the conference. I'm offering up the sacrifice as well for not being able to be there. I have you covered. Blessings, Father Peter. He is a pastor of a parish. He is the vicar for evangelization of his diocese. He is the delegate to ecclesial movements, and he is the right-hand man to his bishop. Whenever something goes wrong, he is the fixer. Does Father Peter have time to send me this email at 8:49? No, he does not. The man doesn't have time. But you know how awesome that was? I'm driving home, before I got in the car, I see this when I'm driving home. I mean, it brought tears to my eyes. Here's this priest. I mean, this man has 80 million things to do, and he takes the time to send me an email to say that he's praying for me. That's awesome. You can do that. So think about one of your coaches. Maybe you have a big rivalry game coming up, and you're the DSM, and you could send the same thing. Coach, I'm praying for you. Do you need anything? I've got your back. I've got you covered, whatever. Think about that. How many times do you yourself receive an email like that someone is praying for you? I mean, I've been doing this for 12 years. I don't receive emails like that very often. It's quite possible your coach has never received something like that in his life or her life. Then that's awesome. That's a way to step in, start building a relationship. Or going and, do you have any prayer intentions? How's your family? How's your wife? How's your husband? I'll get into this a little bit later, but I love these 3 words. The 3 best words. 3 best words. Write these 3 words down or put them into your phone. Tell me about. Tell me about. 3 best mentoring words there are. Put anything else you wanna put there. Tell me about your parents. Tell me about your favorite coach. Tell me about your favorite priest. Whatever it is, put it afterwards. 3 awesome words. Why? Because you're showing the person that you want to listen. I'm saying I care about you and I want to listen. You can't really say no. Tell me about your parents. Well, you could. Tell me about your parents. No. But you're just going to start talking. And then you develop the conversation, those different types of things. So those words are a great way to begin that relationship when you're working with a coach. It's a great thing to say, whether you're a chaplain, whether you're a DSM. So I've done a lot of these just getting the coaches to talk with one another. Did a training one day at a co-ed Catholic high school. It was for the fall sports. There were 40 adults in the room. I kid you not one of them knew, not relation, but knew of another coach on a different staff. Totally clueless. Nobody knew one another. And that's happening more and more and more because we're more regional. We're drawing people from 70 parishes in the high school or whatever, so a lot of people don't know one another. Follow the team. Be interested. Care about it. A late night text or whatever. Coach, how'd the game go? Or maybe you were there. Great game. Or what have you. Show the coach that you care about them. That you care about their ministry. See, well, I had a conversation once with a pastor. He said, well, I don't like sports. I don't care about them. I'm going to go now. I don't. You need to care about them because the people that are involved here at your parish, this is really important to them. They love that. This is part of their life. So if you don't care about it, you're basically, I don't care about you. I don't believe that what you do is important. I don't like rugby. Care about rugby. Rugby is important. That hurts the person because, well, rugby, if you're a rugby coach, rugby is important to you. But view each head coach as an apostle. The more we have that in our head, then that's a tremendous avenue. So this is Coach Bruce Seifries. Bruce, can you stand up for a second? That's Bruce there in the back row. Thank you, Bruce. He's the head football coach at Indianapolis Roncalli High School. We've known Bruce for many, many years. He's an outstanding coach. I mean, the best thing that I could say is that, if I lived in Indianapolis and my son wanted to play football, I'd vote for Bruce. He's an incredible coach. I can't say enough great things about him. So here's an example of what a director of sports ministry possibly can do. I'm kind of playing that role because we're still working up to this. So he's the head football coach. And I came into contact, okay, that did work first, but the big guy in the middle, that's the offensive tackle for the Indianapolis Colts. His name is Joe Wrights. So he's a professional football player. There's an Indianapolis school. Everybody loves the Colts. Everybody knows Joe. He's Catholic. He loves his faith. through Twitter and through a Canadian football player. That's how I love Twitter and social media. All of a sudden I'm talking to a professional football player from Canada, and then he's putting me in touch with Joe Wrights, et cetera, et cetera. Great stuff. So we do all of that. Joe wants to do the Stations of the Cross workout. He wants to do it with a team. Bruce says yes. Bruce says any day Joe is available, we'll do it. Okay? Holy Thursday. I mean, what better day to do this? It worked out. So Holy Thursday, we come. Joe gets there. Bruce is there. We have the workout. We've got the exercise. Everything. We're into the weight room. Now, see, possible mistake that you make is I show up. I want to do ministry. I'm Lou Judd. I'm really cool. I want to be here at the front and lead this whole thing. No, that's the mistake. Person leading it should be Bruce. He's the head coach. He's with these boys all the time. They know who he is. So I'm in the background at this point. It's happened. I'm in the room. I take photos. I take video. I stay out of the way. Bruce does the ministry. It's awesome. This is a hard workout. I mean, Joe, he was sweating like crazy. But it's beautiful. The boys are in stations. After the first station, he's out of breath. He goes to the next one. He meets 3 or 4 more guys. He tells them, he's praying with them, and then he does the workout, and it's hard. So by the end of the workout, these guys are gassed. They're rough. So before each way we do it, before each exercise, we have a reflection for the Station of the Cross. So you have the first station, Jesus condemned to death. You have a short little reflection that's kind of athletically based. It's all written out for you. You have a person read it. You do an exercise. And then at the end, Coach Joe spoke to the team about his faith and why he loves being Catholic and why he loves Jesus, and that he's got to run home to get his wife and kids to go to Holy Thursday Mass. I was like, I couldn't write this up if I tried. This is better than possible. And at this point, I'm just holding the camera and thanking God. This thing works. This is beautiful. If Lou Judd would have said, hey, Roncalli football players, you want to come to the wrestling room and do the Stations of the Cross workout? Heck, I'm lucky if I get my son to come. Bruce says we're just doing it, and they're football players, and oh yeah, somebody special is going to be there. The whole team shows up, more than the whole team. I think there were some other athletes. They were looking in, and they wanted to join too. Was the workout really, really hard? Yeah, it was. But they loved it afterwards. And you're talking to the kids, and you overhear them, and you're like, that was exhausting. By the time we got to the 11th station, Jesus nailed to the cross, and I was done. I was done. They did a 3-minute wall sit. You go up to the wall, you put your back up against the wall, and you kneel down for 3 minutes. Your thighs are burning. Anybody here, you want to try it? Yeah. Anybody want to do it? By about 60 seconds, if your knees are on fire, you're doing it wrong. It's hard. But then Bruce is talking to them while they're doing it. We're trying to do 3 minutes. Jesus was on the cross for 3 hours, and he didn't quit. So it starts connecting. So they're physical. They're athletes. Do 15-year-old boys go running into the chapel to play the Stations of the Cross? Please let me know if you have any let your vocations director know them. Do you have any? Those boys have vocation, or those girls. So they begin thinking about this. And afterwards, you overhear one of the boys saying, I don't think I'll ever look at a crucifix the same way again. That does that. That's beautiful. That's ministry. Look at all those boys. Do all those boys go to youth ministry on Sunday night? Again, I'm not denigrating youth ministry at all. I'm not. I love what you do, and I do the same thing. Do they go? No, they don't. Are you going to get them to go? No. Are you going to get them to go if you don't have sports on Sunday? No. Are they going to work out and lift weights on a football team? Yes, they are. Every day. And if you can bring a Catholic professional football player in there to help them, that's really, really powerful. So that's what we're constantly trying to talk about. Through the team. Keep this in the team. It works. It's really powerful. Praying at the end of a game. This is a 7th and 8th grade girls basketball team from Harrisburg. Same thing. A lot of these, but coach there on the far end, Coach Kevin Chichak. He does all of these things. One day they had a pretty rough practice. The girls were not paying attention. They weren't listening. he was fed up. Before he threw something, he decided, better than throwing something, he remembered that there's an adoration chapel close by. All right, girls, we're done here. We're going to do something more productive. We're going to go over to the adoration chapel, and we're going to have 15 minutes of prayer. Coach, what's adoration? The adoration chapel? We're allowed in there? Literally, it's a verbatim question. We're allowed? Well, yes, of course you're allowed in there. Why didn't we promise? We thought that was for adults. 7th and 8th grade girls. True story. All right, no. So let's get our warm-up suit on so that they go in there. Okay, we're going to go in there. Silent prayer. Please be respectful. Genuflect when you go in. Kneel down. We're going to pray for 15 minutes. We'll come back out. They come back out after the 15 minutes. All 15 girls basically storm him. Coach, we want to do that every week. Can we do that every week? Please? Please? Well, they want to do it every week. Became a new tradition. Every Wednesday, practice ends 15. Oh, you're going to take away 15 minutes of practice? Oh, you're going to lose them. They're better. They were a better team because of it. They practiced better. They offered up their practice more. They got more out of the 45 minutes during their practice, knowing they were going to go to the chapel to be with Jesus for the last 15. And they loved it. Then the girls go home and they talk about it. Now their parents love it. Now it's beautiful. There's a lot of their parents. They didn't know what adoration was either. But beautiful, beautiful move by Kevin. No, on Wednesdays, you don't pick your girls up at the gym. You pick them up at the adoration chapel. And why not arrive 5 minutes early? Why not dust off the kneeler yourself? You get it. It's another example of Bruce. This was, so like he was talking about praying at the end of the game. And this is hard. This is hard what he does. I admire him. This is the end of the game. Sorry, Bruce, they lost this game. They're our rival. This was a tough, really good game. Didn't go in their end at their favor. But he's an incredible example of virtue. He's there at the middle of the field. I mean, hell, I think I was in a worse mood than he was. I'm a fan of the football team, and there he is, and he says some words, and congratulating both teams, and don't remember what he said, but it was very good. And then there's a priest there over on the side. Father leads a prayer, and it's beautiful. I mean, these are heated rivals. I mean, there's blood on the uniforms. This isn't kumbaya. And by the time they're coming together, when they're first getting in there, they don't want to kneel next to one another. I mean, the red team is still hurting. They're embarrassed. They just lost. Nobody's in a good mood here. And the white team is kind of in a really good mood. And maybe wanting to take advantage of that. But this takes virtue. This doesn't happen overnight, because this takes humility, this takes class, this takes respect. But these coaches, they've done this, they do it. And what was beautiful, as soon as those boys stand up, the animosity that you felt, so I'm right there, I'm the one taking the picture, so I'm right there in that huddle. I mean, you can feel the animosity crawling on your skin. These people do not like one another. At the end of the prayer, it was gone. Gone. And the tremendous example, there's 8,000 people at this game. Cameras all over the place. 5 television stations. What are they all watching? That. Number of people impacted that evening? I don't know. 8,000 times a whole lot. And they show it they interview right after the game. So whatever, the 50,000 people that happen to care about, or more, 5 million people that care about Indianapolis Catholic high school football game sports, all of the alumni of those two, the interview is happening right after this, so they see that too. Beautiful. Beautiful impact of ministry. Well, our coaches don't like the other. Okay, help them. Show them this picture. Walk them through it. Maybe it'll take 2 or 3 years before your teams are ready to do this. But it takes some baby steps. On the right, Stacia's lacrosse workout here. This is Archbishop and Nicholas High School. It's walking distance down the road this way. They did it as well. They were one of the first teams. I had people telling me you're insane and it'll never work. Coach will never talk to you again. We've had hundreds of teams do it now, and they started. Another tradition, a coach praying with players before a lacrosse game. So, working with him as kind of the DSM for him. It's all over the phone. This is in Atlanta, Georgia. I've never met the man before in my life, but he loves his faith. He's dying to do things more of his Catholic faith with his team. I just start, you've probably noticed, I'm kind of like a fire hydrant. Once you open, it's coming. You're going to get wet. But he's just tearing down the notes. He wants to do all of it. This is like a half an hour after a phone conversation. He's never done this before in his life. He's never seen it. He goes, and before in pregame stretching, he's going and he's asking, what are you offering this game up for? Who do you want me to pray for? What can we pray for during this lacrosse game? The boys loved it. Coach, we gonna do that Jesus thing, the Jesus thing with the cross before the game? I'm doing that from now on. I'm going to do that every game. They loved it. So the hope is, again, you bring it to the coach. You do that with the freshman. Maybe in a few years, when that boy is a senior, maybe he starts doing it with his team. Form, keep going. I think Paul showed that picture as well. It's an amazing story. President of a Catholic high school in Iowa is driving to school one morning at 6:30 a.m. And that crucifix, that is a life-size crucifix, officially appraised at $10,000, it is on the curb by the garbage cans of a Catholic church. Kid you not. True story. So he sees this, he's driving by. The thing required a 5-minute paint job. $10,000. It takes 4 men to move the thing. It is heavy. He sees some maintenance. Yeah, the crucifix up by the road? Yeah, no, we got a new one. We're throwing that out. Well, can I have it? Yeah, you can pick it up. It's yours. So he calls his maintenance guys. They bring the truck. I think 2 guys showed up and they're like, oh, this ain't working. 2 more guys came, they brought it. So he painted it. And so it is on this little patch of grass right by the car line where all the parents come to pick the kids up at the end of school. So there's some guys there waiting. There's four football players. They're there and, it's weird. Some huge crucifix out on the lawn. So they go into the president's office. Yeah, what's that? That crucifix? And so he tells them the story. Where are you going to put it? I don't know yet. I haven't decided. Can we have it? What do you mean? Well, we got this huge empty wall in the weight room. Can we put it there? Crucifix in the weight room? Why? I don't think it'd be cool. And fit. Wall's empty. Okay, you can have it. You got 2 weeks. You're on probation. You treat it well. You can keep it. Okay. So they bring it. They hang it up. So one of the boys is giving me a tour of the school. He gives me a tour of the whole school. This is the last stop. And so he's a football player. He's 6'4", he's 275. He's a senior. He's a large human being. And so we walk into the room, and he gets emotional just like that. As soon as we walk into the room. So he's choking back tears, and he goes like that. He points to the end. He goes, he wasn't always in here. I was a sophomore when we hung him up. He's brought into, sorry, I get emotional with this stuff. And he goes, there was one day, I'm ashamed of this, I didn't really appreciate my faith. I didn't go to Mass, wasn't really Catholic, wasn't living it. And I wasn't a very good teammate either. And we were doing bench presses. And I gave up on a set. I only did 9 when I should have done 10. And one of the seniors saw me. And he comes over, and he calls me out, and he goes, you see him? Did he quit? Did he come off? No, we don't either. He didn't quit on us. We don't quit on him. Do it again. Do it right. Finish. down on the bench press, I did my 10, and I changed my life. I've loved my faith, and I've loved Jesus. I've never missed Mass, and I never will. Because he was right. And I love our Lord, and now at the end of practice, at the end of a weightlifting session, because it's so big, they all go, they break them down, they all give Jesus a high five on the cross. You didn't quit on us, we don't quit on you. Beautiful. Beautiful. Catholic identity blended into the team sport. There's, 900 kids that go to this school. Probably what? All 900 probably go in the weight room at one point or another, some daily. And they see that. And that story gets told over and over and over again. So let's think about the conference objectives again. How am I in time? I'm the conference organizer. Okay, we're good. So again, we're understanding that we can really, really grow this through sports. The potential, hopefully with this, you see now there's a huge, huge potential. You have a tremendous platform through sports for your whole diocese with this. So really at this point, I'm sorry, I think you're crazy if you're going to leave here and the directors, we don't have the money for that. How do you not? How do you not have the money for this? Or the time, or the energy? So you don't want to reach the 70,000 people? And this is a silver platter. Silver platter. You already have. You've got the school, you've got the facilities, you've got beautiful uniforms, you have some of the best coaches in your state, you have a coach retire. Again, there was a football coach, he retired, a girls volleyball coach just retired, they had like 200 applicants. Like the day they posted. So you have the best coaches applying for your positions. You have the silver platter. And I'm not saying you're not doing a good job at your school. I'm sure you are. But just like you think about, okay, if your basketball team went 40-0 and won the state championship, what do you want to do next year? You want to do it again? 40-0 again? So we're not satisfied. You want to do it again. You want to get better. So ministry, like what Thomas said, much more eloquently than I, let's be bold. Let's not settle for, we say the Our Father at the end of practice. Thank you. That's good. That's good saying the Our Father at the end of practice. But could we do better? Could we do more yet? And then partner with us and how we can do. Don't reinvent the wheel or feel that you have to. There is a system. You've got people that can share ideas. And that's the beauty about this, about creating this fraternity, this sorority of coaches, of DSMs that do this. So maybe eventually, again, we're dreaming 4 years from now. Maybe please God, there's 20 dioceses that have this. This is up and running. This is cooking. This is moving. Well, then you start talking with one another. Well, how'd you get that to work? And what was see, right now it doesn't really exist, but it can. And this can grow so fast because there's over 1,000 Catholic high schools across the country. And again, we're just talking about high school. And I just use high school as, it's a little bit easier to get that started if you start there. And then you do the grade schools as well. And we're not forgetting about the grade schools. The same thing applies. It's a little bit more challenging with grade school because you have even more kids, more volunteers, more coaches. It's just a little bit more complicated. But it's still absolutely important and can be done.